Every developer has a story on how they got to where they're at today. Today, we're going to talk about my story. So there's some other YouTubers that have also done this, such as Tim Does Tech and Forest Knight. I'm going to do my version, but mine's going to be a little bit different because I'm going to talk about how I went from an intern to a senior software engineer. Although that's going to be a lot of content, probably too much for one video, so I'll be splitting it up into parts. Today, we're going to be talking about how I got my first internship and prior to that. My journey started around middle school. It was like 6th or 7th grade, but wait, I was doing cool shit. Like I wasn't doing like little kiddie boring, like change like, I don't know, your avatar and random stuff. I was doing cool stuff and we'll get into it. I was really into the game World of Warcraft and I built private servers. Granted, I really didn't know what I was doing, but I knew enough to be dangerous. I would build game systems that I thought the actual game were missing that I thought would be cool. I would build those game systems with C++ and MySQL. That was just what was popular at the time. I'm not claiming to be some coding wizard. Like I wasn't some like kid that was just like this freak programmer.
Adios, turd nuggets.
I definitely wasn't doing best practices, but I really didn't care. I was just trying to get from idea to implementation, and that's all I really cared about. These were some of the best times I had while learning how to program. I met my buddy Alex, really good buddy of mine now, online on a private server modding website. It sounds funny and I laugh because it's online. It sounds kind of weird, but dude, we would stay up so late, sitting on Skype, shooting the shit, and just programming and building these systems together. To give you an idea of some of the systems that we were building, I'll give you a little glance. So we built this thing called a gear insurance system. Essentially, you could insure your best pieces of armor. What would happen is we modded it so when you killed someone, their armor would drop. If you had gear insurance, their armor would not drop. It got more in depth, but you got the idea. I pretty much kept on doing that until I started college. I started college in 2012. I'm pretty thankful for that piece of my life just because it showed me what I wanted to do at an early age. Therefore, when I went to college, I already knew what I wanted to do and what I wanted to major in. I studied at the University of Akron, and I pretty much just focused on school. I dropped all of my side projects once I got into school. Looking back, that was a dumb idea, but you live and you learn. I thought I was hot shit because I've already been programming for so long, but keep in mind, I wasn't doing best practices like I said. I was just trying to get stuff to work. Long story short, I tried to test out of the intro courses. It seemed like no one actually tried doing this before, so they were kind of surprised that I asked. Pretty much didn't happen. They said, no, you have to go through the courses. It wasn't a formal process. I just went to like the director's office and I'm like, hey, here's my code. And he's like, okay, can you explain this? Can you talk about like this class and XYZ? And since I was just like throwing stuff together, I couldn't answer his questions, and he's like, all right, dude, well, you have to go through intro programming. I was humbled very early in my programming journey, which in the end really ended up helping me out in the long run. At this point in my life, I was pretty much dead set on becoming a game developer. I really wanted to see what the game industry was like, so I was pretty set on getting an internship for that summer of my freshman year. I utilized our school's career center to help build my resume. They went above and beyond to make sure my resume stood out from the rest of the pack, so if your school also has a career center, I highly advise using it. With my resume in hand now, I looked up game development companies in the United States, and I picked the one with the coolest names and that had their contact information listed. Notice, I wasn't picky. I would have been happy with any company that would have given me real-world experience in the video game development industry. From there, I just started firing off emails. I emailed the companies that sounded interesting. I didn't care if there was a job posting for an intern or not. I was sending them an email regardless. I had a basic template that I'd use, but I'd pull in certain things that catered to the company I was sending it to as well. And yo, if I could find a phone number of the company, you bet I'd just be cold calling them. I'd be calling, I'd be shooting my shot. I'd say, hey, my name's James Boyce, blah, 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 blah. It was my elevator pitch. If you haven't cold called before, just know it can be embarrassing, it can be awkward, and for the most part, they usually say no. Keep in mind, I wasn't calling like 1-800 numbers. I was like calling mid-sized companies, mid-sized to small. I wasn't calling like these corporate phone numbers because more than likely the person that you're trying to talk to isn't actually gonna be able to do anything for you. I was pressing so hard to get on-the-job experience because if you didn't know, experience in the video game development industry pretty much trumps everything. So anyway, let's go back to the list of people that I was calling. I was getting denied left and right when finally I got a hold of someone that was able to actually get me a job. It wasn't that easy though. I still had to convince him. So the guy on the other line was the vice president of In Exile Entertainment. They are most widely known, in my opinion, for their Wasteland games. So I did my elevator pitch and I let them know I was interested at working at their company. I wasn't flat out told no, but he kind of rebutted with, well, we don't really have an intern position or even the space for an intern. I replied with something on the lines of, look, I'm just looking to get my feet wet in the game development industry to see if it's something I want to do for a career. And then to address the issue of not having the room for an intern, I said, look, literally just give me a laptop, a broom closet, and Mountain Dew, and I'll be good. I even said, you don't even have to pay me. I just want to be there. That was a dumb idea, but it ended up working out because they said, no, we'll definitely pay you. I'm sure there's some small talk, of which I don't really remember, but I was pretty confident once we hung up that I had a job. I don't want to say they just gave me a job right off the phone, because remember, they didn't have space for an intern. So I want to say that it took a couple of days because they had to figure out logistics, and then I finally got an email. And then that just contained like kind of like a contract, and then how much I get paid, and so on and so forth. Keep in mind, I was in Ohio at the time, and the company was located in California, and when we got off the phone originally, when they asked me when I could be out here, I said 2 weeks. Anyway, so I did that for about 2 years. I did that my freshman year and my sophomore year, and I worked on the game Wasteland 2. So to recap, at 18 years old, my freshman year, and when I was 19, my sophomore year, I worked at InXile Entertainment as an intern, and I was living across country. Like I said, I lived in Ohio, but I was able to nab this job for 2 summers in California. And just 2 cool things I built while I was out there was a Razer surround sound 7.1 driver installer and a system to play cinematics inside of the game. The game engine we were using was Unity 3D. If you found the video useful, if you found it inspiring, if you found really anything out of it that you enjoyed, make sure you like the video. If you want to see part 2, make sure you subscribe so you get notified when I upload the next video. Thanks for watching. Word to your mother.